Hello, welcome to One Africa Mission with your brother Dobia Anzanste. Please, if you are new here, subscribe to our YouTube channel and also like us on Facebook. Follow our Facebook page, One Africa Mission. Our YouTube channel is also One Africa Mission. Follow us and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Africans, we are young Africans, and then we believe that Africa should be for the Africans. The resources of Africa should be for the benefit of the African people. The knowledge of Africa should be for the good of the African people. And the only way the intellectual knowledge, the God-given resources of Africa will go a long way to help the people of Africa is if Africa is united. When we are united, then the resources of Africa will go a long way to help the people of Africa, to end the suffering in Africa. But as long as we are not united and we continue to be divided and settle in this European petition of Africa, division of Africa, then 100 years from now, 200 years from now, the children of Africa will still be complaining, and then will still be living in this misery of exploitation and degradation. 100 years ago, remember, the prophet Marcus Messiah Garvey called for the unification of Africa, Africa for the Africans. And today, we are calling for that. And then this generation of Africans, we have the chance, never before afforded to any generation of Africans, to see this unification of Africa become a reality. So please, join us. There are numerous groups out there who are fighting for the liberation of Africa. But the ones that I belong to, the one that I'm actively part of, is a Continental Revolution. It's a Facebook page led by very determined young Africans. We also have Emancipation of Africans. We also have our spiritual WhatsApp, whereby we learn more about the history and spiritual aspect of Africa, organic African paradigm. And also we have a political party, Africa Political Party, which is ACUP, Africa Continental Unity Party. All these are led by energetic, brilliant young Africans who see the need for us as African people to come together to fight for a better future for Africa. So please, if you are new here, join our WhatsApp group. And then, if you want to be part of any of these groups that I mentioned, contact me. I will link you up with the admin of those groups. If you have any knowledge, if you have any support that you can support, not financially, but spiritually, intellectually, information-wise, and all that, we will highly be welcome and be appreciated. Africa should be for the people of Africa, especially we the youth of Africa. We are the future of Africa. We are the tomorrow of Africa, and then we must make sure that tomorrow will be a better tomorrow than we come to meet Africa today. So today, we're going to watch this video about United States trying to sanction African countries, trying to bully African countries to be to submit to their rules-based order. You know, they have this rules-based order that they make the rules and everybody follow. And if they make the rules and then you do not follow, then they will march you and cane you. And that is what they want, sanctions and then all those kind of stuff. That is what they want to do to African countries. And they are doing it in a very clever way. Because if you, well, let's go and listen to what the interviewer asks this guy, and then what rubbish he's vomiting here.
The U.S. has proposed a law that seeks to punish African countries cooperating with Russia. Is the U.S. making Africa a theater of its contest with Russia?
No, I mean, in one sense, we have to acknowledge that Africa has always been a theater of international intrigue and conquest going back centuries. And there's no reason to see the situation now as different from what it was 20 years ago or 50 years ago or 150 years ago, in that the global powers often operate in the African space with disrespect for what the Africans want. So there's a history there, and I'm very cognizant of it. But this bill is not about sanctioning countries. It's not about reigniting the Cold War. If you get past the preambular language, which is what most of the media accounts are talking about, and you look at this bill, which is not a law yet, but you look at the bill, it's talking about Russian mercenaries and Russian war criminals. And it instructs the State Department to do a 180-day review, a 6-month review, to see how to counter them, both through positive actions, increased foreign assistance and other types of aid, and by sanctions if there's crimes going on. And Meeks, in his statement, the sponsor of the bill, only referred to Mali and Central African Republic, where we've had recent massacres involving Russian mercenaries. And there's also been references to Russian oligarchs who operate in the African space, trading use of these military actors in exchange for access to minerals. So we're talking about crimes. We're talking about plundering African resources in ways against African interests. It's not about sanctioning countries that trade with Russia, either in the body of the text or in the intent.
So if you can see, she asked him if the United States is planning to sanction African countries who are supporting Russia, and then he's trying to be clever in his answering the question, and this is what they have been doing to African people, dividing us and then picking us one by one. Yesterday it was Kwame Nkrumah. The rest of the leadership was sitting down thinking that it's Kwame Nkrumah. The next day is Patrice Lumumba. The next day is Thomas Sankara. The next day is Muhammad Gaddafi. Anytime they take out one of these leaders, it will take us back to 100 years. It will take us 100 years back. Anytime they take one of these leaders back, just yesterday it was Muhammad Gaddafi. So it took Africa back 50 years. And then within 1 or 2 decades, it is Magufuli. It took us back again. And that is what they have been doing to us. They're not going to attack the entire continent of Africa. And then this will force us to unite and say, no, enough is enough. They're not doing that. They are so clever in dividing us and continue to be ruling over us. What they do is they pick 1 or 2 countries at one particular point in time and punish you, take you back like they did to Zimbabwe and still doing to Zimbabwe. So they're not going to sanction the entire sub-region of East Africa or Central Africa or Southern Africa, and then you're going to say, no, enough is enough. What they do is they take the giant among you and punish. Look at what he's saying. He's talking about Russian mercenaries in Central African Republic and Mali. So they are targeting Central African Republic and Mali. Who are you to tell us who should we be in a relationship, diplomatic relationship with? And this is the reason why we are calling for the unification of Africa. Because if we are united, all this rubbish that they are talking or they are doing to us will stop. The only way we can bring an end to this, their harassment, sanctioning us, is when we bring an end to, when we are united. As long as we are not united, we will not be strong. And as long as we are not strong, they will continue to punish us as they are doing to many countries in Africa. Today, he's mentioning Mali and then Central African Republic. These countries have suffered enough, or these countries have suffered a lot in the hands of terrorists being created by these same Western countries. They never have what it takes to help us fight against them. Today, Russia is coming to help us fight against these terrorists, and now they are coming to sanction us. And yet, they will be telling us that they want to work in partnership with Africa for the good of Africa. These people never want a better Africa. America and her allies will never want anything good for Africa. We keep saying it, and then we'll continue to say it. We are not saying Russia is better. And then we are not saying China can do it for us. We must do it for ourselves. But we have to decide who we want to have a relationship with at what point in time. If we feel that today, the cause that we are fighting in Mali, it is Afghanistan that can help us, we go in to bring the Afghans to help us do it. But America will not allow that. As if to say Africa belongs to them. So they will decide to you who you should be in a relationship, diplomatic relationship with, and who you should not be with. That is exactly what they are doing. And as I said, they are doing it in a very clever way. Yesterday, it was Nigeria politicians that they were sanctioning. They were sanctioning Nigerian politicians, governors, who in the name of so-called democracy, they say they are putting visa restrictions and stuff like that. They are sanctioning them. And today, it is Central African Republic and Mali. Tomorrow is going to be Ghana if you misbehave. So they are picking you up one by one, punishing you. So at the end of the day, collectively, we are all victims to their imperialism. At the end of the day, we are all victims to their rules-based order. Because when they make the rules, they make it for everybody. And this is what Russia and other countries are trying to bring to an end. And I even wonder, why is African countries are not joining the BRICS? Why is it that African countries are so slow in joining the BRICS? Because this is the only way we can have our sovereignty back. Because under these Western colonizers who cannot think anything by thinking colonialism, for them, it is all about we set the rules and then we march you to follow the rules. And then if you don't follow it, we pick you one by one, just as they are doing. But other countries has come out and formed BRICS. Why are we not joining it? I was expecting by now 10, 15, 20 African countries would have joined the BRICS. Why are we so slow? Because the reality is that the so-called United Nations and everything has not been able to offer Africa the necessary help that we need to overcome whatever difficulties, security-wise, food insecurity and all that. The United Nations has not been able, because the United Nations is an institution created by these imperialists. So if America today is telling us that they are not sanctioning the entire continent of Africa, if you sanction one African country, you are sanctioning all of us. And as I was saying, or as I keep saying, the blood of every single African citizen must be secret to the continent of Africa. If you touch any one of us, you touch all of us, because that is what the Ubuntu spirit stands for. Today we have abandoned the Ubuntu spirit, and then these people have taken it, because anything that happened to a Western or a so-called white person everywhere in the world, they all come together to support them. Look at Zimbabwe. When we decide to take back our lands, look at what the punishment that they gave to us, even though it got nothing to do with them. And to the extent that when the white farmers were there farming, it was free market for them to bring their goods to Europe and to Britain and sell. When we took over, no, they will not give us that. And I don't blame them. You need to stand with your own kind. So if they are doing it, perfect, it's good. But how come we are not doing it? Even though originally we have the Ubuntu spirit. It is about time we get back to that energy, the Ubuntu energy, and make sure that if you touch one of us, you touch all of us. Because they are pointing out Central African Republic and then Mali. Look at the suffering, especially Central African Republic has been through. And today, Russia or Russian mercenaries, you may call them, are there to help them. You, the French and the Americans and the whatever, you have been there. You could not help bring security to us. Today, Russia is there to help us do that. Even though, as a Pan-African, I think we must find a way of helping ourselves than relying on Russia, China, or America. I think we must find a way to helping ourselves rather than relying on these people. But as long as for now we haven't found a way yet, then if Russia come in to help us, what does that got to do with America? And then you're talking about violating human rights and stuff like, who have violated human rights on this planet than you guys? And this is where the problem is. These people think that other people are not human beings. when they came in to kill to assassinate our people, our leaders, especially Gaddafi. To them, he's an African, so his life doesn't matter. But when other people are touching the so-called white people in Ukraine, it becomes a problem. We all must condemn it. We all must come and support them. When you were assassinating our leaders, just recently, Gaddafi, did you see it to be anything crime? So until you call on us to stand behind you and to support you against Ukraine, then you must first of all come and explain to us as to what we did to you for you to come and assassinate our brother Gaddafi. But as I said, they will never do that because they know we don't have the power to question them. The only way we can have the power to question them is when we are united. And that is why we are here as young Africans, One Africa mission, to see this mission of our forefathers be completed. This is not our mission. This was the mission of our forefathers. This was the mission of Kwame Nkrumah. This was the mission of Marcus Messiah Garvey. This was the mission of Thomas Sankara. This was the mission of Patrice Lumumba. This was the mission of Malcolm X. Their mission was to see a prosperous Africa. They couldn't complete the mission. It is up to me and you to bring our energies together to see this mission be completed so that the harassment towards African people by this Western world will stop. I thank you very much for coming around. Until we meet next time, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, One Africa Mission. Bring your energy. Let us all together fight for the unification of Africa. Me and you know that Africa and the citizens of Africa deserve better than we are getting now. Thank you very much for coming around.